to where you're improvising. 1, 5, 6, 4, 1, 5, 6, 4. And that leads to, of course, single note improvisation. Start to connect the dots to where you play really simple and beautiful melodies because you're following those chord changes. Hey folks, welcome to Music Theory Made Easy, class number 5. Let's get started. Augmented Triad, I'll say Triad to be specific, is 1, 3, sharp 5. So let's all do this together. I'm going to just put my finger on C. Now by me saying an augmented triad is 1, 3, sharp 5, and this is, I'm going to show it to you linearly. Here's 2, here's 3. So those are the first two notes, 1 and 3. Okay, now if we went up the major scale, this would be 4, this would be 5, G. But the augmented triad is a sharp 5. So what do? We take this G and we make it G sharp. So it's 1, 3, sharp 5. And if you notice the distance, this one's very special. It's 2 whole steps and 2 whole steps. Okay? And then guess what? If you went up 2 whole steps again, you're back to where you started. You're back to a C note. So the notes are C, E, G sharp, and C again. That's the only triad where each interval is the same. It's equidistant. 2 whole steps, 2 whole steps. And then to get to the octave, 2 whole steps, okay? So that's the one, if you were to go through that triad sheet I had talked about, triad study number 1, major triad. But here's the augmented, sharp 5. So listen to this. That's what we did, but here it is as a chord. Okay? So I'm going to go through that with you here, and I'm going to show it to you very slowly. Here's a C major triad, C, E, and G. But we don't want major, or I'm going to say the numbers though, 1, 3, and 5. But we have to sharp the 5. So you take this note, and you go up a half step. And now that's C augmented. So you have 1, 3, sharp 5. And that's C augmented. Now, because of what I just demonstrated, the fact that the augmented triad consists of 2 whole steps and 2 whole steps, then if you went back to the octave, 2 whole steps, you could just slide around this shape because it's the same distance every 4 frets, and it just inverts itself. It's the only triad that can do that. So C augmented, slide it up 4 frets. So if this, I'm thinking if this is 4, then I go to 8. And that's C augmented. Now from 8, I'm talking about the first string, to 12. And there's C augmented as an inversion. And then 4 half steps, or 4 frets, 4 half steps, same thing from there. You have back to where you started, an octave higher. So you can do some really fun stuff like this. Django Reinhardt used that quite a bit. It's a beautiful chord. So that's a C augmented, and there's only one triad shape for it. At least in this, it's just the same inversion when you slide it around. And here's I'm going to show you a very quick little routine. You don't have to do this with me. This is just demonstration. I don't know if you guys checked out my YouTube videos that I was referring to last week, but here's that triad study through all 3 inversions. I'm just going to go through this kind of quickly, but C major, this is just a demonstration. C major, C minor, C diminished, and back to C major, C augmented. And then that's just one inversion on the top 3 strings. Then I would go to the next C major shape, or inversion rather. and that's E, G, C. To minor it, you have to flat the 3. To diminish it, you flat the 5th. And now you go back to major, and then to augment it, you sharp the 5th. And that's what I'm saying. That's where you end up with that same shape as before. And then the final one is up here. It looks like a D shape. Well, to minor it, you flat the 3. Again, this is where you got to know where the 3rd is. And then we diminish it, flat the 5th. Okay, so you'll just kind of go through this little routine. It's all in that triad study number 1. And then back to major. And then to augment it, you got to know where your 5th is. Now it's right here, G. Okay, that's such a good practice routine to go through. Just choose a root note. I just chose C, and I went through the 4 triads: major, minor, diminished, augmented. And last week we covered those add chords or suspended chords. That's like another added level of it. But that's the foundation for triads: major, minor, diminished, and augmented. Augmented being the least important of them all because you don't see it as often. Diminished, I kind of was saying that you use it as a substitution, and it's in a dominant 7th chord, which I'm going to hit those 7 chords again. What I then say is take it through a progression. 1, 4, 5. These triads. This is, again, if you're like, oh, that's really cool. I want to, be able to do that all over the fretboard. Then you take a progression. 1, 4, 5. That sounds like this. G, C. I'm going to be in the key of G. G, C, D. And then I'll do it in the next inversion. G, C, D. Then I'll do it in the next inversion. G, C, D. G, C, D, C, and G. That's just 1, 4, 5, all major. Remember, in a major key, 1, 4, 5 are major. That's the most common progression. That's this. 1, 4, 5, okay? But that's such a great exercise. 1, 5, 6, 4. To where you're improvising. 1, 5, 6, 4, 1, 5, 6, 4. And then you can have a lot of fun connecting those triads. And that leads to, of course, single note improvisation. You start to connect the dots to where you play really simple and beautiful melodies because you're following those chord changes.